Good morning, fifth grade scholars. My name is Miss Francois, and I am super excited to be joining you on your second journey cycle. For this cycle, we are going to be reading the text Darnell Rock Reporting. As we read, scholars, I want you to focus on the essential question. Why is it important to be aware of your community's needs? The following are the objectives we're going to follow for this cycle. As you read the text, you will identify the author's purpose for writing the text. You will compare and contrast characters by using details in the text. You will understand the author's reasoning for the way the story is structured. Let's get started with grammar. For this cycle, we are going to focus on pronouns. Pronouns are words that take the place of a noun, which is a person, place, or thing. There are three types of pronoun. The first pronoun we're going to focus on are indefinite pronouns. They refer to a person or a thing that is not identified. It's not definite, not specific. On my screen are examples of indefinite pronouns. Everyone, everybody, everywhere, and everything. Let's try an example. I am going to identify the indefinite pronoun being used in the following sentence. Someone volunteered to take over a community garden. I believe the indefinite pronoun being used here is someone. The person is not identified. I don't quite know who it is. I just know it's someone. Your turn. Read the two sentences and identify the indefinite pronoun being used. I'll give you a minute. If you said everything for the first sentence and somebody for the second sentence, you are correct. For more practice, please work on page 259 during your independent task of your reader's notebook. Vocabulary strategy. For this cycle, we are going to focus on Greek and Latin suffixes. A suffix are words that come at the end of a base word. They are affixes specifically. The suffix we're going to focus on today are ist, ism, ible, or an able. Ist is someone who is or does, like a biologist, someone who studies life. Ism is belief in something. Naturalism, believing in the natural forces. Ible and able, capable or worthy of an action. Flexible, being able to flex. Breakable, able to break. Let's practice. What would you call someone who studies nutrition? Nutritionism or nutritionist? I chose nutritionist. It ends in ist, which is someone who is or does. Your turn. Choose the correct word for the following sentence. There is a spot on your dress, but it isn't very beautiful or noticeable. I'll give you a minute to figure it out. If you said noticeable, you're correct. Noticeable ends in able, able, which means able to be seen. For more practice, please turn to page 255 of your reader's notebook during your independent task. The text we're going to be reading today is a fictional story. which is a made-up story. The subgenre is realistic fiction, a story that is fake, but that it can actually happen. The author of this book is Walter Dean Myers. He has written over 100 books, so if you enjoy this story, be sure to go read one of his other books. As you know, as I already said, the story is realistic fiction. If you're reading a text and you're able to make connections to it, and you think, this can happen to me one day, then you're probably reading a realistic fiction story. As we read the text, I want you to think about the setting of the story and how the story is structured or organized, specifically the first 2 pages. I am going to begin reading on page 570. Please follow along with me. I'll give you a minute to get situated. I'm going to begin reading now. Darnell Rock feels that his teachers only notice him, his friends, and his sister, Tamika, when they get into trouble. Then a homeless man, Sweeby Jones, inspires Darnell to write an article in his school newspaper about turning a deteriorating basketball court into a garden to feed the homeless. Soon, editor Peter Miller publishes Darnell's article in the town newspaper. Not everyone agrees with him, though, including student Linda Gold and teacher Miss Joyner. A city council meeting will decide what to do with the basketball court. Darnell is nervous about presenting his opinion, but his parents and teachers, like Mr. Baker and Miss Seltz, all support him. Before the meeting, everyone at school has read Darnell's article, pictured below, and an opposing article written by Linda that ran in the school newspaper, shown on page 571. Scholars, I am now going to begin reading Darnell's article. Follow along with me. Nobody wants to be homeless, Sweeby Jones said. He is a homeless man who lives in our city of Oakdale. It is for him and people like him that I think we should build a garden where the basketball courts were, near the school. That way, the homeless people can help themselves by raising food. You see a man or woman that's hungry and you don't feed them or help them feed themselves, then you got to say you don't mind people being hungry, Mr. Jones said. And if you don't mind people being hungry, then there is something wrong with you. This is what Mr. Sweeby Jones said when I spoke to him. I don't want to be the kind of person who says it's all right for some people to be hungry. I want to do something about it. But I think there is another reason to have the garden. Things can happen to people that they don't plan. You can get sick and not know why, or even homeless. But sometimes there are things you can do to change your life or make it good. If you don't do anything to make your life good, it will probably not be good. I was born poor and will probably be poor all of my life. Mr. Sweeby Jones said, I think maybe it is not how you were born that makes the most difference, but what you do with your life. The garden is a chance for some people to help their own lives. Darnell Rock is a 7th grader at South Oakdale Middle School. The school board has proposed that the site that Mr. Rock wants to make into a garden be used as a parking lot for teachers. The city council will decide the issue tomorrow evening. And now turning to page 571 to read Linda's article. Teaching is a difficult profession. Teachers need as much support as they can possibly get. After all, we are dependent on them for our future. Education is the key to a good and secure future, and teachers help us to get that education. We must give them all the support we can. This is why I am supporting the idea of building a parking lot near the school. There are some people in our school who think it is a good idea to build a garden so that the homeless can use it. Use it for what? Homeless people don't have experience farming and could not use the land anyway. This is just a bad idea that will help nobody and will hurt the teachers. The teachers give us good examples of how we should live and how we should conduct ourselves. The homeless people, even though it is no fault of theirs, don't give us good examples. On Friday evening at 7 p.m., the City Council will meet to make a final decision. I urge them to support the teachers, support education, and support the students at South Oakdale. I am now going to stop reading. You should continue reading to at least page 573. When you're done, answer the following questions. What do you notice about the structure of pages 570 and 571? What does Mr. Jones mean by the phrase, "Then you got to say you don't mind people being hungry"? Summarize Linda's argument for how a parking lot will benefit students. What figurative language is used on page 572? Answer these questions in your notebook or in Google Classroom. Make it a great day, scholars. I will see you next time.